Hey, World Entertainment, The Witcher. Yeah, you know, the disaster that's on Netflix. And then it had its disaster spin-off, Blood Origin. I don't recall hearing about this. Maybe you remember. There's meant to be another spin-off called The Rats. So, what's happening with this? Well, apparently it was filmed 2 years ago, and it hasn't been released yet. And now there's an update, and apparently this thing is a colossal disaster, even worse than Blood Origin. And it doesn't look very good. So we're going to have a look at this article. Now, the site that's giving this part of the information, I've never heard of. So I don't know whether to take it with a grain of salt or how reliable they are. But either way, we'll have a look because, let's be honest, it's The Witcher at Netflix. It's not all that hard to believe. A show that managed to lose its lead star because they wouldn't stick to the source material. But, again, we'll jump into this. So, it's hard to believe, but more than 2 years have passed since The Witcher spin-off, The Rats, finished shooting. Since then, we've heard very little about the project, and pretty much nothing from Netflix. Still, no one seems overly bothered, seeing as Blood Origin was such a letdown. By the way, remember Blood Origin was meant to be 8 episodes, and then they cut it down to 6, and then they cut it down to 4, and they were like, oh, just get rid of it. And that thing was horrendous. But this is the name of the site now. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. Redania, I think. Redania, or something like that. Intelligence. Never heard of it. Has just shared an update revealing that their sources have said the show behind the scenes was a disaster worse than Blood Origin, and that everything went wrong. So, you may recall reports that production on the series was paused 2 months into a 6-month shoot, allegedly a result of Netflix executives deciding that it wasn't worth continuing after they'd screened some early footage. The 2023 strikes did little to help matters, and the decision was made to release The Rats as a feature-length special called The Rats, A Witcher's Tale. Post-production on that was reportedly taking place when work started on The Witcher Season 4. But the site has also heard that Netflix was considering chopping up the footage and serving it as flashbacks in The Witcher Season 4. With Netflix wrapping up The Witcher with its 4th and 5th seasons, it wouldn't be overly surprising if the streamer pulls the plug on The Rats altogether. The show has never been the Game of Thrones beater that the platform expected, and with Liam Hemsworth taking over from Henry Cavill, interest in the property has further waned. With that in mind, spending money to finish The Rats probably isn't worth it. Original plans called for the show to run from 6 to 8 episodes, exploring the origin story of the group that Ciri meets in The Witcher Season 3 final. She wasn't going to appear, though, given where it takes place in the timeline. 6 teenage thieves must rely on their criminal skills as they plan the biggest heist of their careers against the most dangerous crime ring in the kingdom, reads a previously released synopsis of The Rats. The cast of the show was set to include Ben Radcliffe, Christelle Ewan, blah blah blah. I don't give a flying hoot about the cast. Haley Hall, who wrote multiple episodes of The Witcher during its first 3 seasons, was tapped to serve as showrunner with, how the hell do you pronounce this? Marais Almas directing, whichever. So you're just seeing, by the way, it's all girls again in charge of this shit. And people go, they could do, they were in charge of The Witcher and Blood Origin, and look how all that has turned out. So keep that in mind, and here they are. More women in charge, and this thing hasn't even been released, and it's been finished for 2 years. So yeah, but it's saying anyway, The Witcher Season 4 is supposedly still scheduled for a 2025 release, but we've had no trailer and no confirmed premiere date. With that in mind, it seems likely Netflix plans to drop it with little notice or fanfare. So Everything they're saying here just seems to be that this thing is that much of a colossal disaster that Netflix aren't going to end up releasing this. To the point that they're talking about, hey, just break it up and put it into the Witcher series itself as flashbacks. Makes sense for the most part, I suppose. If you've spent money on it, you want to use the footage you have. A good way to incorporate. I love how this thing says it's meant to finish after season 4 and 5. Season 4 has just been chopped into 2 seasons. That's what they did. They didn't make a season 4 and then shoot a season 5. They shot season 4 and they just halved it, so you get a season 4 and a season 5. That's what they did, because they saw the backlash to Henry Cavill leaving the show, the backlash to Liam Hemsworth taking over, and pretty much that everybody was just like, it's The Witcher, sometimes featuring The Witcher, because the series Yennefer show, it really ain't The Witcher at all. So there was no demand for more. There was absolutely no one asking for Blood Origin. When that thing came out, 4 episodes is all it was, and they were some of the toughest watches I've ever done. Like, they were a struggle to get through. It was god awful. And now they had this thing, which again, I don't recall ever hearing them working on. I don't recall hearing, oh, we're doing a spin-off called The Rats. Do any of you remember that? Do let us know if any of you remember hearing about that, but I sure as hell don't. And the fact that they were meant to shoot it for 6 months, 2 months into it, Netflix were like, you know what, stop. Just stop. You know, we'll go with what we have here. That's pretty much the same thing that happened with Blood Origin. Again, as I said, that was originally meant to be 8 episodes. Then they cut it down to 6 episodes. And then in the end they went, oh, screw that, you're not getting 6, you can do 4. And that's what they ran with. So it sounds like the exact same thing happened here. Just that they didn't even let them go all the way. They were just like, no, just stop. Please stop. And you really have to ask, like, what was the oversight into this? Like, why were Netflix giving them the money and then obviously turning a blind eye to what's happening, to go back later when they've already made half it, look at it and go, sweet Jesus, what is this? Why was there nobody there going, what's your plans? How do you plan to do it? And what can we expect? And see what it was and go, yeah, no, change that. Why would you let them actually film it first and then go, oh, this was a mistake? That, to me, is just insane. But either way, this thing, yeah, it definitely doesn't look like it's ever getting released. And from what it sounds like, they're just going to break it up and use it as flashbacks in a show that nobody wants, which is obviously season 4 of The Witcher. So we'll wait and see. And by the way, if this is coming out this year, that it's going to drop fairly soon, then I would assume, seeing as next week is the 1st of bloody September. So we're running out of time for a 2025 release, so we'll wait and see. But with that, let us know what you think of all of this, and do you even still care about The Witcher show? Do let us know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So like, share, subscribe and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I shall catch you in the next one.